morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Living in Rockland. We have Vinny here with Canine Jester dog training. So we're going to talk to Vinny and tell us a little bit about himself and what he does. So
Good
welcome.
morning, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
No problem. So tell us a little bit about like who you are, where you live, where you're from, what you started. Just give us a little introduction.
Sure. So I've been living in Rockland County for pretty much most of my life now. I'm in Stony Point currently, and I am a professional dog trainer. So I specialize in going to people's homes and trying to help them live better lives with their dogs. I also have a podcast, The Canine Classroom, and I am most socially active on Instagram at Canine Jester. So Canine Jester pretty much across the board.
Awesome. I love that. Where'd you get the name for, Canine Jester? Was one of your dogs Jester?
So yeah, my first dog's name that kind of motivated me to become a dog trainer, his name was Jester. And I had an Instagram for him because like who doesn't make an Instagram for their dog these days? And then the name kind of just stuck. And when I had to come up with a name, I was like, I might as well just use this one because it's here. And I like it. I like that it kind of is, it's influenced by that dog that kind of started my journey.
I love that.
Awesome. So did you always have a passion for dogs, animals, and...
Yeah, it's funny when I think back of it, like when I was a child, I never was into like training my dog. I guess I was too young for that, but I was always I always loved animals and wished that I could talk to them, like,
Yeah.
and I wish I could, like, when I was very young, I always had this like fantasy of like, I wish I could like speak to them and they would talk back. And when I started seeing trainers train animals, whether it was like at a zoo or a circus or on TV, it was so incredible to me that they were able to have this conversation with a living being that couldn't technically speak back to them with words. So yeah, that was always the interest.
Amazing. Yeah.
You don't
That's
hear
cool.
a lot of people.
Yeah. And what kind of training did you do to learn that, or did you self-teach?
So I started off self-teaching, just working with my own dog, and then with friends and family members who were like, hey, can you do that thing you did with your dog with my dog? And then I did go for formal training at Pryor Academy. So she developed like clicker training and was very big with animal training and shaping and all of like even dolphin and zoo type training stuff. So I went there with my personal dog, which was kind of stressful because you had to prepare, but you couldn't just cram the night before for the test because the dog had to show up and do what you were supposed to do. So I was like, the night before, I'm like buying hot dogs and hamburgers in the hotel room, like, dude, you better not mess this up tomorrow. So that was interesting. It was cool that like there was that like in person, like you needed to show that you could do this stuff with your dog. I then got certified with the CPDT, which is another certification council. I think the certifications are important to kind of show that you did the work, but I did learn a ton just hands-on. I don't think anything compares to getting your hands on tons of dogs and just years of experience of seeing different things because they are so different. So it's really hard to have like a cookie cutter approach of like, this is how I'm going to teach my dog to sit. Like, your dog might be different than my dog. I have 3 dogs and I tweak and change the way I train all 3 of them. And they all have different personalities because, they're individuals.
I was just going to say that. Do they have different personalities?
Yeah, for sure. Different learning styles, different quirks about them. That's what really makes my job interesting because it's not the same thing every day. It's like a puzzle. Like I meet a dog and then the way that dog's relationship with their owners. So I have to kind of go in and decode both sides, right? Like what's going on this end of the leash, what's going on this end of the leash. How do I kind of bridge this gap that's going on, if it is a relationship type of thing, so that the dog and the owner can coexist better. Because let's face it, if your dog has less behavioral issues, you're going to enjoy them more. You're going to take them out more. You're going to do more things with them. And maybe that's my like selfish underlying motive to do some of this stuff is because I know that if I can help the dog out, I'm like, hey, dude, just like, let's make your owner a little bit happier. And then your life is going to be better. You're going to be able to do more, So that's part of what motivates me to do what I do.
It's when you're talking, it's making me think of like therapy for humans, but it's like for dogs, because like I think
maybe that's I did go to school for psychology, so maybe I'm a little biased there, but it is that, right? Like they have emotions, right? And sometimes we're not meeting their needs, and let's face it, like sometimes we're not meeting our own needs, right? Like if you're not taking care of yourself, you feel crummy. And a lot of times there's a culture clash a little bit, because the way that we unwind or take care of ourselves is different than the way our dogs do. And if we're not looking at them as an emotional being that has needs and desires, and we just try to stop behaviors, right? Like we're not helping them thrive. So an example of that would be if you get a herding dog that was bred for hundreds of years to be chasing, livestock around a farm for 10 hours a day, and you throw them in like, a house and don't exercise and don't do training and don't do anything with it, and then start wondering why it's like barking out of windows and chasing the kids around. It's like, well, yeah, like we have to meet those needs.
That's my dog. That's exactly
Yeah.
my dog. She's a herding dog. Yeah. So
so there's ways through training to kind of give the dog that outlet, instead of just being like, hey, don't be a herding dog. Like you're not going to be able to out train thousands of years of like selective genetic breeding for like, oh, let's breed for this, and then okay, now it's just going to sit on the couch and watch Netflix with you. Like but it doesn't mean that you have to rent some sheep from a local farm and let your dog chase them. But maybe we learn how to play frisbee, or maybe we teach the dog how to do scent games and train, even if you don't need to train. Like I train even my older dogs just because they enjoy doing it. It's like us doing a puzzle or playing a game.
Right.
It's very interesting, because I think a lot of the times we selfishly get dogs for, for our family, and we just think, it's a good addition, but they're a person too, and they have needs too. So it's interesting to look at it from that lens.
Yeah, for sure. And then like there's different breeds. So like if you are looking for a dog, or you're like someone that's never had a dog before, do your research. And like another thing that you could do is consult. Like I have people consult with me before they get a dog. Like I love clients like that, because they're kind of showing like, hey, we want to get a dog. We don't really know what we're doing. Like what dog should we get? Because maybe a herding dog isn't the type of dog you need if you have 3 kids running around, and then the dog thinks that they're, depending on the type of kids you have, maybe you want that, if you want a little herding dog that's going to run circles around your kids to keep them in a line in the yard. But most people don't want that. Like maybe you need a dog that's a little bit more docile, and then there are breeders for that, and you could ask your breeder, like, what are you breeding for? What are you looking for? Another option is adoption, right? Like adopting is great, and you don't just have to adopt a puppy. You could also foster. So I usually recommend to people that they maybe foster a dog. A lot of places would love for you to do that, and then you don't really have to have the commitment, and you don't have to feel bad if it's not a good fit, right? You can kind of test run the dog, give the dog a nice place to stay, and then if it's all great and it works out, great, and then you can keep that dog. So there's a lot of options there.
That's what we did recently. We have a little beagle, and we fostered him and then kept him, and he's like the mushiest mush of all.
Aw, yeah, it's super cute. Love beagles.
So what services do you offer? I know you mentioned you come to people's homes. I mean, obviously you do dog training, but can you give us a little bit more explanation on that?
Yeah, so primarily I'm going to people's homes. That's what most people want me to do. I also do offer some virtual stuff for people that find me, through Instagram or Facebook or social media, and maybe they're states away and they want to do some work. I sometimes, depending on the situation, will offer in-home training where maybe 1 every 4 sessions the person is involved, but then on the other days, maybe they're busy, I go in and I jumpstart the dog. I don't talk people out of that, but I want to make sure that the people are also invested. I let them know, look, like I could train your dog and the dog's going to listen to me, but like there's that relationship component. So, a big thing about what I'm doing is like, I know I can train your dog. I want you to become a dog trainer yourself, because you're the one living with them. So the relationship that you have with your dog is most important. Some other services that I plan on offering soon, so if you're watching this and you're interested, you can reach out to me, is I have a location that's going to allow me to start doing some group stuff, just so that I can get more dogs at a time, and maybe offering some puppy classes, because I think that would be great. you know, depending on the situation. For most behavioral stuff, especially if it's going on in your home or when you're out on a walk, I do like to have that one-on-one, because we can address like your exact needs. But with something like puppies, where like there might not be any issues yet, but you just want to start getting jump started on your path of becoming a good owner, I think a class might be beneficial for some people.
That's great.
That's really great, because the puppy stage is a hard stage. It's like a newborn, so
and a lot of people overlook the training at the puppy stage, because like, oh, it's just a puppy, and a lot of the problems are just cute at that point. But really, that's the best time to be doing a lot of the work. You can start teaching that puppy like, hey, like these are the expectations that we're going to have for you throughout the course of your life. So when I meet with dog owners when they have a puppy, I don't really enforce my views upon them. I kind of ask them like, hey, like what kind of dog do you want? And then from there we and if they have certain goals, I might recommend that they don't do certain things. But at the end of the day, you know, the joke that I always tell is I get to go home. I don't have to live with your dog. So it's your dog. You want to break the rules? Like, you set the rules, right? I just help you kind of get there.
I love it. So what advice do you have for someone that's like, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but if there's someone out there looking for a dog, what's the little spiel you give when you mentioned already possibly fostering, looking at your options, but if you have like a first time dog owner listening, what would you say?
Yeah, so I think sometimes we're so far removed from thinking about dogs as what they were originally, which is like working, like they had purposes, right? So I think it's a good idea to look into, like, maybe if you want to get a husky, maybe like look into like what were huskies used for, what kind, like, you know, like what are they bred to do? And then even furthermore, like even with Labradors, so like I have a Labrador, but my Labrador was bred for field work, like for hunting, even though I don't do hunting with him. But I wanted one that was a little more energetic and drivey and had more energy to do things. If you want that goofy, silly Labrador that's going to lay down on the floor and chill at night, that's not the Labrador for you. Like, there are show line Labradors, or you might find like a specific breeder that's saying, hey, like I'm selecting dogs that are sweet and social, but they chill out. Versus like, oh, I'm breeding a dog that's supposed to like run in the woods for 10 hours a day and like hunt chicken. You know what I mean? Like, figure out like what the breed was used for, and then make sure that that lines up. I wouldn't just pick something based on like, oh, it looks cool, or it's trendy, or like I like the, you know what I mean? Like, I think that can get you into trouble, unless, you know, you are fostering a dog or getting an older dog, and then you get to see the personality of that dog. That's sometimes the benefit of fostering or adopting, is when you get a puppy, it's hard to really tell sometimes, like, where is this going to go? It's kind of looking at an infant baby and knowing like, what is this baby going to be when it gets older? No idea. But if I show you a 25-year-old and be like, oh, look at this guy likes working on cars, you could be like, oh, he could probably be a mechanic. So when you get a cute little cuddly puppy, you know, you don't really know that dog's personality. If you go and you foster a 1.5-year-old dog, it's a little bit easier to kind of tell.
Right. To judge what the dog will be like. That's a great piece of advice, because I think a lot of people get into it. I myself, you get into it and you don't really know what to expect. It looks good for photos and you want them at night on the bed with you and it's cute, but it's a big responsibility. And
then like you can, like, I told you guys beforehand that I was taking a big risk by bringing my youngest dog. So right now behind me, that's my my new puppy, Invader Zim, and he's a Belgian Malinois, and he is a sport line. So like, he's not show line. Like, he was bred to do sports. I do a sport called Mondioring with him. He, believe it or not, has tons of energy and tons of drive and likes to run and chase and bite and tug and do tons of training. But I taught him, when I'm in this room and I'm doing, you know, he knows the deal now, like I'm on this doing Zoom or I'm working with someone, he has to go over there and settle down and lay down on the bed. He's not going to bark at me. He's not, and hopefully he doesn't make me look bad now. He doesn't make me a liar. And when is this over? We got to leave now before he messes up. No, but like, and I meet his needs in other ways. Like, I took him out this morning and I exercised him because I was like, you can't make me look bad. You know, so I did other things with him to kind of set him up. And now he's sitting there chewing on, you know, some type of a bone on his bed. You know, so you can have the German Shepherd. You could totally do it, you know, but it just takes a little bit more work. Like, would I recommend my parents getting a dog like this? Probably not. You know,
Yeah,
like
here
this
he
is not
comes.
like a regular family dog. Here he comes to mess it up. Mess it up. Yeah, he's like, you're talking about me. I have to get head scratches now.
He's been so good. I've been watching him keep
Yeah.
himself busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
very
Yeah, he's great. But he is like, I was like, I don't know. He's my least favorite. And I could have played it safe and just brought my lab down. He's like 8. But I figured I'd put myself in the hot seat.
Well, he did awesome.
He did great. Yeah.
So what's your mission and vision? Like in closing, what do you want to get out there? What do you want to do?
So again, my main thing is if you enjoy your dog, you're gonna do more with your dog. So I kind of said that before, and whether that's making people happy, sure, but really, I love the dogs, right? Like I love working with people. You know, some people are struggling; their dogs stress them out, and I think a lot of people get a dog because they want an addition to their life. They want to bring something good to their life. So if I can help them understand their dog and maybe help the dog through some of the issues they're having, that person's gonna spend more time with their dog.
Yeah.
You know, and then other people that see them are going to be like, hey, I want a dog now. And then there's going to be more dogs, and then there's going to be more happy dogs. And if there's more dogs and more happy dogs and happy people, then that's good with me. So it's kind of my mission.
He looks like a big boy. His head looks so big. Is he a big guy?
Oh yeah, he's huge. Yeah, he's a puppy, but he's a big puppy.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Big, right?
Yeah.
He's like 80 pounds already, right?
Oh
Wow.
my goodness. You have your hands full with those 3.
Yeah. All right, go chill out. Go leave me alone now, right? Okay.
Well,
He's like, no, you talk to me.
He's like, I know you're done. I hear them saying you're done. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. If anybody wants to reach out to you, you said Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, Instagram, caninejester.com. You can check me out on, like I said, the Canine Classroom is my podcast if you want to hear what I'm about. And yeah, you can also give me a call. That my number is on my website.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Vinny.
All right.
Have a lovely
you.
day.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you.